What is going on, guys? It's Dwarfy here. Welcome back to another PS4 and PS5 Jailbreak News Update. We've got a lot of topics to cover here in this video, so we're going to go ahead and get straight into it. Before I do that though, I do apologize if there's any background noise in this video. I do have a desk fan on next to me right now because we're going through a bit of a heat wave here in the UK, and our houses are designed to keep heat in the winter, so they basically turn into ovens in the summer. And we don't have air conditioning, and yeah, it's a whole thing. So I tried recording this without the fan on and nearly collapsed, so it's going to have to stay on for now. But anyway, so first of all, the slides for Specter's presentation at the Hardwear conference, which took place on the 3rd of June, were released back on the 10th of June. I was going to wait for the full presentation. Hopefully that will be uploaded within the coming days to the Hardwear YouTube channel, although we haven't seen a video posted from them in 6 months, which is a little concerning, but hopefully they will release the presentation at some point in the near future, and we'll get the full presentation with all the additional context. But right now we do have access to the slides, so we'll briefly go over it here in this video. So if we take a look at the slides here, you can see we've got next-gen exploitation, exploring the PS5 security landscape. If we scroll down, it basically goes over the PS4, first of all, where we are with the PlayStation 4, how it was exploited, the vulnerabilities that were in the PS4, and how Sony kind of patched things over time. We have all of that information here, and then we have where we are with the PS5, which then goes over the upgrades that have been made in comparison to the PS4 with the PS5. You know, how it's based off FreeBSD 11 and all the additional security layers and security measures that have been implemented with the PS5 in comparison to PS4, as you can see right here. And then, of course, what we're mainly interested in is the hypervisor. It does go into a lot of detail on the hypervisor, as Specter was given some hypervisor code to analyze here by Flats. So we do have a lot of information here, a lot of technical detail about the actual hypervisor itself. And obviously, if you're into reverse engineering, you can go over all of these slides and take a look at it in detail. So if we scroll down further, we get to the slide for future research and ideas, a recap and where to go from here. So we've got future research and ideas, data-only attacks. Hypervisor essentially limits us to data-only attacks, but control of data is still powerful. We can't patch/hook code, but we can hook data. Instead of patching PSP, the platform security processor, which I did talk about in a previous update, kernel API, we can try hijacking the mailbox, spoof responses to load our own code. I haven't had time to try this yet, but in theory, it should work. But it might not be the path of least resistance, so there may be, you know, easier options to attempt as well. This may be quite a bit involved and quite difficult to pull off, but still possible. Then we have future research and ideas. Hypervisor Guest has a lot of potential vectors for virtual machine escape. Obvious and easy ones are control registers, EFER, page tables, but less obvious vectors can be explored. MSRS, IOMMU/hardware attack, and IOMMU hypercalls, features/extended instructions hypervisor doesn't consider, and memory mapped IOMMIO. These kinds of bugs definitely exist. And the hardware attack seems to be where a lot of these security researchers are looking at the moment, with things like the platform security processor and trying to like override the boot up process to bypass the hypervisor completely. Again, we have talked about that in a previous episode. And then he goes on to say the hypervisor can't protect everything. Trade-offs: move more to hypervisor equals more attack surface. Also high performance penalty. Hypervisor is completely in-house, less audited, less mature, but a unique, albeit formidable challenge is execute-only memory. So execute-only memory in combination with the hypervisor is going to be difficult to bypass. And yeah, because the hypervisor is built in-house by Sony, it's their own proprietary thing. Therefore, it's a less mature code base. It's less audited, which means there could be more holes, more vulnerabilities that have been overlooked that could be exploited. And then we have our conclusions. Sony has stepped up attack surface reductions, exploit mitigations, hypervisor-backed security model, system mods no longer as easy as userland plus kernel chain, secure element and hardware security actually matters now, and most of this security is banked on the hypervisor. So if we can bypass the hypervisor or override the hypervisor in some way, then that's it. You've cracked the code and you've got a full jailbreak for the PS5. Now, while the hypervisor is small, securing it is still difficult. Complex implementations force an ever-expanding scope. Console exploitation isn't dead, just more interesting, but it's more costly in terms of time. More steps are needed, more burn potential. So yeah, unfortunately, you know, this is just the way it is. It's going to require more exotic ways of exploiting it, essentially, compared to the PS4, and that's going to require more time and research by these exploit developers. well, they'll have to put in a lot more effort in order to be able to do it. Hence why we haven't had the exploit yet, even though we're a couple of years into the PS5's life cycle. Then we have more conclusions here. If all sounds interesting to you, he runs a Discord for PS5 research, still lots to do. Feel free to hit him up on Discord or Twitter with thoughts or questions. PS5 Research and Development Discord, and he gives his Twitter handle and his Discord there. And if you do work on stuff, document on PlayStation Dev Wiki, and hopefully some cool stuff goes public soon. So interesting, some cool stuff goes public soon, maybe hinting towards that they're getting close potentially to something at least, which may be just running Homebrew, but it may also be getting closer to a hypervisor exploit, hopefully. And just to mention here, please don't bother Specter or join these Discords if you don't have anything worthwhile to add to the discussion. Do not just join there and ask, ETA when questions and when are you going to finish the hypervisor exploit and blah, blah, blah. Please don't do that. Don't bother these people. Leave them alone unless you actually have something valuable to add that could help them in their development. And then next we have some thanks to, of course, Flats for providing a kernel dump to Reverse plus other knowledge. We've got Dax for answering all his annoying hypervisor questions. We have others from Reverse Engineering Discord. We also have ZI for nitpicking the slides. Hardware IO for giving him the opportunity to speak, and everybody for listening to his presentation, which hopefully we will be able to listen to his presentation very soon. Okay, so moving on to some more news next. We also have this tweet from Zeko, of course, saying Homebrew on PS5 soon, meaning he may be privy to some information, although we do already have an idea that there may be PS5 Homebrew coming soon anyway from Null Pointer when he mentioned that he had potentially a temporary solution for running Homebrew now compared to waiting a longer time for a full actual jailbreak. So hopefully that is true. Hopefully we might see some Homebrew on PS5 soon. If we do, it will most likely be for the firmwares that are already exploitable, that already have the WebKit and the kernel exploit, or the Blu-ray drive and kernel exploit. So that's firmwares, I think 3.0 up to 4.51 should be exploitable. So those are the ones I would expect when we do get some way of running Homebrew on the PS5. It will likely be for those firmwares. But obviously there are things like the Master Core exploit for higher firmwares with the PS2 thing, but I think that's really not been worked on by the same people as far as I'm aware. Okay, so next piece of news, we have LightningMods releasing a teaser in the form of a picture of a watermark on a PCB that says Dark Software LLC 2023. And this, of course, would appear to hint towards the E4 flasher. At least I would assume that it would be the E4 flasher, because I do have a prototype of the very early version of an E4 flasher from back in 2020. It's taken a long time to get to this point. There's been various different reasons for that, but hopefully we will see this release hopefully soon, relatively soon, for end users, which would be great. Mainly because we don't really have a affordable solution for trying to revert our PS4s at the moment. There is the method of being able to revert without requiring you to switch the Syscon chips by BWE. He has the Syscon writer and he has his BWE Nor validator, but they're not targeted towards end users. They're meant for repair professionals who are repairing PS4s on a daily basis, who will be using that tool to make their life easier, their job easier. They can write it off as a business expense, which is why I guess those tools are so expensive, because they're for repair professionals. They're not for, end users like us who just want to revert our own PS4s. And that's why they're so expensive. So it makes more sense because those tools combine the Nor validator and the Syscon writer. Those tools are more expensive than just buying a new PS4 that's on an older firmware like 9.00. That would be cheaper than trying to revert your own PS4 that you already own with those tools, because they're even more expensive. So hopefully the E4 Flasher by LightningMods will provide a affordable solution for end users that will assist in the process of being able to revert your PS4. The early prototypes allow you to do things like read and write to the Nor chip, as well as being able to read and write to the Nor chip in circuit without having to remove it from the board. And hopefully the new versions might provide some assistance with the Syscon as well. Probably not to the same degree that BWE's Syscon writer is able to do, but it will hopefully make it a lot easier to revert your PS4s regardless for a much more affordable price. So that's what we're hoping for right now. I did suggest to BWE quite a while ago about maybe offering an option with his software, with the BWE Nor validator, and making it available for like a day's access. So you could purchase a day's access of the software or a week's access for the software for much cheaper than buying a lifetime license. So it would make a bit more sense for end users to be able to use. However, it doesn't seem like he's interested in doing that. Now, the Nor validator can be ran once, I believe, without a license, but that's not really a practical solution because, you know, if you make a mistake and you run it once and then that's it, you're screwed, which basically happened to me when I tried to do that. It didn't detect it the first time I ran it, which basically meant that I used my one-time use of the software and it didn't work because I didn't have the file in the correct format or something. So mistakes get made and then you've used your one-time use and that's over. So it's not really a practical solution, but again, it's not targeted at end users. It's targeted for repair professionals, and that's why it's priced the way it is. However, the point is the E4 Flasher is meant for end users. It will be affordable. It may not have all the features that the Syscon writer has, for example, but it should be able to help with the process of reverting your PS4 regardless for an affordable price. Plus, the E4 Flasher has lots of other options built in. It's kind of like a jack of all trades. It's able to do things like host an exploit offline because it's got an ESP chip. It uses an ESP chip, so it can host like an exploit host. It can do UART functionality. It can be powered from the PS4 motherboard directly, so you're not wasting a USB port on the PS4 to power it, and various other things that will be unveiled in due time, I'm sure. So yeah, very exciting stuff. So that's the teaser, but hopefully we'll see a release at some point soon. So next we also have Zeko, who has released a Nor Unpacker that can unpack the sflash0, the dumps that you would get basically from something like the E4 Flasher. And it can basically unpack them into the files that build up that sflash file. I think you can find some of those in the dev folder anyway on the hard drive of the PS4, but this allows you to unpack the actual image on the computer into those subsequent files, which is pretty handy. And then we also have some drama. Maybe we should have Keemstar talking about this instead of me, but the reason why I'm talking about it is that it has resulted in a release of a Black Ops 4 GSC menu, although you need a GSC injector in order to actually use it. And I think the main one is in the PS4 toolbox that DeathRGH removed. So if you still have access to the PS4 toolbox, an updated version of it, then you could perhaps use this GSC menu, unless there's probably maybe some other tools that can be used to inject the GSC files. But yeah, as you can see here, DeathRGH comes out and he says, sad times, but it had to be done. So apparently, according to DeathRGH, this is allegedly, I'll say, somebody who was involved in these private circles where they're sharing, you know, private mod menus, private cheats and stuff with each other. And apparently he was taking those private menus and then reselling them to people for a kind of inflated price, shall you say, because he was basically saying that he had to pay DeathRGH a cut to get access to those menus in order to basically charge more probably for it to the people who were buying them. And apparently DeathRGH never asked for a cut in the first place. And yeah, DeathRGH just doesn't like people trying to make money from his stuff. So he went ahead and just released the menu for free to everybody so that nobody would end up buying it from this guy. And yeah, there's been a lot of this going on lately. There's been certain people who seem to have online access on their jailbroken PS4s. And then there's people reselling these private menus. There's people using these GSC menus to basically do kind of infectable mods where they're able to mod certain values in the game without being online, which you can basically do. This is a thing way back with the Xbox 360. It was very prevalent in the Xbox 360 generation. Because for a while on the Xbox 360, you couldn't go online. You'd get banned instantly. This was before stealth servers were able to spoof the challenge responses. And the way that people got around this to still be able to do mods on Call of Duty games is they would basically have mods on the jailbroken system that would be running in a LAN game, like a system link or LAN game. And then they would take their retail consoles, join that LAN game on their retail console, and then the mods would get infected in the system link game, in the LAN game, from the jailbreakable system onto the retail system. There would be like, you know, mod menus that could be infected and other things that could be passed over, you know, unlock all in some games and prestiging and various different things like that. And then the retail console could then back out of that game, go into a public match because it's a retail system. And some of those cheats would stick onto the retail system when it was in a public match. And therefore you would have mods online. That's basically how it worked. And it seems that there's still a bit of that going on here with Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4, especially since we now have backports that can allow the jailbroken PS4 to be on the highest update for the game. which would allow a system link game between a retail system that's also on the highest update. So that can be going on as well. So I know stuff like that's been used to modify things like liquid diviniums and Black Ops 3 zombies and a few other things. So that's probably what's also been going on as well with Black Ops 4. So yeah, anyway, so there is this Black Ops 4 GSC menu. If you guys want to test it out, the links are available. However, you need a GSC injector for Black Ops 4 that's going to allow you to do that. And yeah, if you know of any, then sure, leave them in the comments. So yeah, definitely some exciting stuff here coming out for the PS4 and the PS5. Obviously, stay tuned for the full presentation from Specter. Hopefully that will be coming out anytime now. It could come out tonight, it could come out tomorrow. But yeah, hopefully it'll come out soon and we'll be able to get some additional context with the full talk. And yeah, if there's anything significant in the full talk that wasn't addressed in the slides, then I'll probably make another update here. There's other information I could have also gone into here in this video. There's quite a lot of stuff to talk about, so there'll probably be another jailbreak update fairly soon as well. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one.